What is going on, everybody? Another episode of 4x4 Camping and Adventures, and in today's episode I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Toyo Mud Terrain tyres that I've had in my car for the last 50,000 Ks now. And in this episode I want to talk to you about every single terrain I've taken them through, tread life, tread wear, would I recommend these, the new tyres going on the Trident moving on to the future, and all that good stuff is going to come up in this episode. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so this part of the video, guys, is going to be tread life, how I've maintained the tyres over the last 50,000 Ks, and pretty much my routine to getting the absolute best tread life out of these tyres. So these are 50,000 Ks on them at the moment. I would say they've probably got about 40-ish% left of tread life on there. And the biggest thing that I think when using these tyres or any kind of mud terrain, moving in the future, is tyre pressures, rotating, balancing, and wheel alignments. They're the biggest things you can do to absolutely maximise the tread life out of your muddies, or any tyre obviously, but muddies are a little bit more susceptible, mainly because they're more designed to be an off-road tyre rather than a highway tyre. So if you're doing a lot of highway Ks, make sure you rotate every 7,500 to 10,000 Ks. That's what I did, and that's what got me the absolute best life out of these tyres. So moving forward, are they a good highway terrain tyre? Well, probably 90% of my driving when I had these tyres on there, easily the most quietest mud terrain that I've ever heard. I've been to a lot of cars that have mud terrain tyres on them, from cheap mud terrain to expensive mud terrains, and I still think these are probably the quietest mud terrain tyres that I've come across, and they're probably one of the better handling mud terrain tyres. So I've been through 2 winters on these, especially in Esperance, which pretty much 90% of the year it rains, and they've got great grip in the wet. So if you're going to be doing a lot of driving in really wet areas, they've got great on-road grip, and handle the rain, no dramas at all. I didn't get too much aquaplaning, and yeah, no real dramas in the wet, so can't really talk about any downsides there, because they've handled really well. Obviously they're not an all-terrain tyre, so yes, you are going to have less grip, so you can't go around corners like a lunatic or anything like that. But no, they're very good in the wet. I've been really happy with how they've handled in the wet and that kind of thing so far. And as I said, in the dry, they're obviously great. If you're going to be driving these a lot on the highway, just make sure you rotate, make sure your tyre pressures are good, and you're getting wheel balances and obviously tyre alignments and that kind of thing very regularly. So as I said, I've done 7,500 Ks to 10,000 Ks. I'll do a rotation, and that would get the absolute best life out of these tyres. And these are a massive investment, so you're spending big dollars of putting tyres on your car. Don't throw your money down the drain by not rotating and getting wheel alignments and that kind of thing. That is pretty much all a part of maintaining and servicing your tyres and that side of things. So make sure you do it, because you'll get the best tyre life. And as I said, these got about 40% of tread left on them at 50,000 Ks. I think that's pretty damn good for a mud terrain tyre that's done 90% of its life on the highway. But let's talk a little bit less about the highway. Let's talk a little bit about all the good stuff, the mud, the beach, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to answer, hopefully, most of your questions on beach work, mud terrain, mud work, and rocks and all that kind of thing. So let's get to that part of the video. Alright, so let's talk about the good stuff. Off-road, that's what we're here for. That's why we love buying these big mud terrain tyres. They give us the absolute best grip when we're off-road into the beaten track and that kind of thing. So the first thing I want to point off is beach work. Do mud terrain tyres suck in the beach? That was a question that I asked a lot of people, and it seems like everyone had a consensus that no, they don't. I feel like maybe that myth came from people that didn't drop their tyre pressures enough and they got stuck and they blamed the mud terrain tyres because they got bigger lugs or whatever. But I've never really had an issue with my mud terrain tyres. I've conquered the big massive dunes down in Esperance. I've conquered Calcup Hill. I've gone to Lancelin. I go to Buffalo Beach pretty much every second weekend, and I've never had a drama once I put the right tyre pressures in my car. In this Trident, with the weight on it, I put about 14 PSI at the front and about 16 PSI at the back. That makes them bag out really nice. And as all beach work, you monitor them. If you start noticing you're bogging down, drop a bit more tyre pressure out of there and you're fine. So no, mud tyres don't suck on the beach. All right, let's talk about the next thing, mud. So it's in the name. One of the biggest things that I wanted to test out since going to a mud terrain, as I said, I do a lot of beach work, and I've gone to Brunswick, I've gone to Waruna, Harvey, all those real muddy places where you love to get a little bit deep and dirty into the mud. They've handled every single thing that I've thrown at them, and until I've run out of talent, they've been pretty damn good. So going through the Brunswick Hills, going over this real steep, I think it's like shaly clay they call it, absolutely massive traction up there, and yeah, I've been pretty happy with them so far. And as I said, they haven't let me down unless I've actually run out of talent or I've bottomed the car out or something like that. That's the only thing that's really let me down. But yeah, I can pretty safely say, after driving in those areas and even some of the more probably courageous tracks down in Esperance where there's a lot of mud, yeah, they've handled really well. So I'm really happy with how these guys handle the mud. Obviously they're mud train tyres, so they should be pretty damn good anyway, but that's something I can give to a massive tick, is handling in mud. So if you're going to get into a mud train tyre, absolutely have a look at these. The good thing about Toyo, they haven't changed the design in years, so it shows us onto something really good. And the way they get rid of mud out of the lugs and that kind of thing when you're on the tracks, you can see how quickly they clean themselves up and how quickly they allow you to still get traction, especially in those really muddy situations. So in mud, absolutely phenomenal. So massive tick there. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about rocks, hill climbs, all that kind of thing, technical driving. So I've had these down the Holland track. There's a fair bit going on the Holland track. You've got a lot of mud, you've got a lot of technical driving, you've got a lot of rocks. You've got a lot of chances to pop your tyres as well from tree branches, all that kind of thing, which isn't very good, obviously, because you're in a very remote situation. So I had to rely on my tyres massively when I went down the Holland track, and they went through unscathed, didn't get a single puncture. It was a fantastic trip, and yeah, the tyres went absolutely fantastic. And in that trip, there was a lot of rock crawling, all that kind of thing, a lot of technical driving, and they were absolutely fantastic. And it was just after the winter, so it was still fairly wet through there. And yeah, there was no issues with traction or anything like that. So I can absolutely give the Toyo Mud Terrain tyres a massive tick on rock driving, all that kind of thing. Yeah, extremely happy with how they handle with the pretty much any off-road situation that I've thrown at them. Even shaly rock, they seem to be able to grab traction and yeah, keep pulling you up. As I said, the only thing that's really let me down is my talent. So yeah, I'm pretty damn happy with how they go in an off-road situation, especially on the beach. That was my biggest concern going to a mud train tyre, but yeah, absolutely fantastic in that respect. So after 50,000 Ks, I believe I can give you a pretty honest review on these tyres, and as I said, they have not let me down in an off-road situation. They're great in mud, they're great on rocks, they're great on the beach. If you're going to look at tyres, absolutely have a look at these tyres, because they are going to cater for your every need, and they're still great on the highway. So let's get into the last bit of the video, what tyres I'm going to put in the car next, and yeah, the reason why. Alright, so if you got to this part of the video, you're probably pretty interested in knowing what tyres I'm going to put in my car next. Without further ado, I'm going to go the Toyo RTs. Now, the choice behind this was talking to a lot of people who have the tyres on their car already, and I can really trust their honest opinion on how the tyres are going and how the tyres perform in an off-road situation, as I do take this car off-road pretty much every second weekend, so I really want to be making sure that I can rely on my tyres. And the other side is do a lot of mud work and Brunswick and Harvey, as I said at the earlier part of the video. Still do a lot of beach work as well. So I sort of wanted that hybrid of a really nice muddy to a really nice all-terrain, obviously something in the middle, so the RTs are pretty much perfect for that. And the reason I'm going Toyo again is I absolutely love these tyres. So I can put my hand on my heart and say these are some of the best mud terrain tyres that you can put on your car right now. So if you're looking around for tyres right now when you're watching this video, seriously give the Toyo Mud Terrains a consideration, because they are absolutely fantastic tyres, and I can't wait to get the RTs on my car and give them an absolute flogging. So I might leave it there. So that's been another episode of 4x4 Camping and Adventures. If you like this content, please like, subscribe and comment. And as always, if I don't see you out on the tracks and trails, I might see you out in the next video. If I don't see you in the next video, I shall see you later. Bye.